homework for tomorrow because I know Phoenix Fair is this weekend, and regardless of 8th grade not being as heavy with participation compared to 7th grade, I know, and I want to encourage that you guys would go to Phoenix Fair and support your classmates and take some money and buy their stuff, actually. We really do have 7th graders like making some cool stuff. Probably 8th graders too. Anyone in here doing Phoenix Fair? Yeah, what are you doing, Lauren?
I'm running a photo booth.
Photo booth?
I'm making origami and I might make wontons and get
Are you doing origami ornaments like we talked about, or just straight up ornaments?
origami, but I might bring strings for people.
I was going to say, go to the store, buy a pack of those metal hanger things that you could poke through.
Go to Walmart.
Or string would be harder. If you just get a metal one. Now, if you have a hole puncher, I guess you could do string through a hole punch. But dude, if you sell them as ornaments, they'll probably sell them.
Our stove broke, so we need to go get a deep fryer to deep fry wontons. How did you?
Yeah.
Levi just felt like
I was about to say, did you break your stove trying to use it as a deep fryer?
that was
You should not
my
pour
idea.
grease into a stove. That's a bad idea.
What?
It's not a good idea.
Our stove caught on fire.
That's not good.
that was lit.
And then the person who fixed it yesterday was like,
Your stove is
you
burning.
can use the stove top, but I would recommend not to.
You'll be dying.
I don't know what that means. That's like, you can light your house on fire, but I recommend not to. Like, okay, so, moral of that story, you should go to Phoenix Fair
And not
Saturday,
kill
10 to
the
1.
stove.
5 things from your friends.
Don't burn stuff.
Oh yeah,
All right.
me and Chris are making butterbeer. It's really delicious. Please buy it.
Nah.
Not-
You guys should have an alternative to that, too. Butterbeer is too sweet for me. It's just too much.
So you just get cream
You
soda.
made like
That's
a
unfortunate.
bunch
No,
of
because then it's just cream soda. And then I don't even like cream soda. So I think it's just like,
What?
it's just like trying too
You
hard.
probably go to Whole Foods.
I mean, sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Whole Foods have I'm not even joking. They have grapes for $20.
They also have grapes for $1.
Yeah,
You're probably
well,
talking about the cotton candy grapes, which are like a special type
No.
genetically modified. Or,
Yeah,
or
well,
not genetically modified in the bad way, but like
And you can
made.
get cotton candy grapes for like $8 at Kroger.
Okay, that's still too much for
Probably
grapes.
because it's not
Unless you're in
quality.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, you're talking Whole Foods. I'm talking Fresh Time. I don't really shop at Whole Foods. Fresh Time has great deals.
Yeah, but Whole Foods.
Seriously, Fresh Time has good deals. Alright, 526. I saw people still getting paper out and writing headers and stuff. That's why I was wasting time talking about grocery with Satya. So what we've been dealing with all this year has been real. Okay? Of course, hopefully. Except for when you go home and you plug into Fortnite and whatever. Like, we live in the real world. Right? For most of the time. We're not yet in the Oasis. And we operate under real numbers. However, as we introed Tuesday right at the end of class and blew some brains, did anyone go watch more of that video? I'm just curious if you like got really interested. Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched most of it. Yeah.
Do you feel like you understand things better now than you had previously?
Which video?
I just wondered.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it is-
and
I
I
was
got more
wondering how
We
they
questions.
can't all talk at the same time. Lauren.
I watched some more and I just got more questions than I got answers.
Okay. Well, questions are good. Like,
Yeah.
having more questions means you are thinking deeper than you were previously. So, I mean, I would say that's progress. Satya?
I'm just wondering how they get where it.
So,
You can't just like. Well, now we have more numbers.
I mean, you
can.
kind of can. So, imagine you have your number line
We should
of...
watch Flat World.
You're right. This stuff it is kind of. I have the book too. If you ever want to read it, well, the book is Flat Land. I think you're thinking of Flat Land.
We should watch that. We should watch
So-
Maybe like
It's like 5 minutes.
yeah, it's so Flatland is this. It's an old story. And actually, if you're interested in it, I have the book as my classroom book, not a library book. I think or no, the book is Sphereland. Well, I think Sphereland followed Flatland. So the idea behind the Flatland book series, and this is like what, from the 70s or the 80s or something. It was a really crazy idea.
Basically, it's about the 4 dimensions.
65. This is an old book in 1965.
Dang.
There's a world. There's a world that is flat. Everything is two-dimensional. So the do you want to try to paraphrase it, or do you want me to?
Out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I just saw like the sort of explanation.
Yeah.
Basically, it's about a bunch of two-dimensional creatures in a two-dimensional world. They're all walking around. One day, a three-dimensional alien that is coincidentally shaped like an apple decides to go and say hello. It waits for one of the shapes, looks like a square, to walk into its house. It does so. And then he says hello to it. The square, not being able to see this apple, is very confused as to why there's a voice, and he automatically is coming out of him. And then the apple, wondering why the square is ignoring it, goes through, decides to go down and talk to the square. Goes through the plane. And for just a brief moment, the square can see the apple, but it's a cross section of the apple as it moves through, and it's shifting in weird forms.
So the square that he's talking can only see in 2 dimensions, right? It is only on the 2-dimensional plane.
Technically 1 dimension.
Yeah. So with the apple or sphere, or whatever you want to say, up here, it can't see it. But as the sphere comes down into its range of vision, into its plane, it sees it as a circle of various sizes because of the cross section.
Wait.
Hold on. You got more?
Yes. And so the square is now backed up in the corner of his house, terrified because he doesn't know what's happening. He assumes he's crazy. And then the apple, being terribly annoyed and quite mad actually, goes below the square and knocks him up above flatland. Now the square has no idea what's happening for a little bit until he looks down and he sees the entirety of his flat existence. Friends walking around. He's seeing inside of his friends.
Now here's the other weird thing too.
It's everything weird.
All the creatures in Flatland have rank determined by their polygon. So the base rank is what?
I don't remember. I didn't read
triangle. The next rank up is square. The next rank up is pentagon. The next rank up is hexagon. So what's the highest ranking you could be? Circle. Right? So Flatland, and we might watch that later. But so here's the idea where Flatland ties back to complex numbers. We are walking around in our real number world. Right? We can see countable objects. We can think about debt and negative objects, like I owe the bank a ton of money. We can think about all that. But there is another plane.
Yeah. There's another. Can I say?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay,
I like these conversations.
Also, in Flatland, there is a mathematician who has discovered another dimension. He decides to go public with it, and when people ask him, well, what does this dimension look like? He says, say you have a square. Then take each corner and extend up along another right angle. And everyone says, no, crazy. How could there be another right angle? It just wouldn't fit. And then, trying to disprove him, they're saying, well, where is it? Where is this third dimension? Point to it.
So are you talking about the Ted Ed version?
Yes.
I was about to say the real Flatland movie,
like trying to...
if you're curious, is like an hour and 40 minutes long.
Yeah,
It's an actual movie.
I saw the trailer for it.
Let's watch it.
This is the version that I think Chris is talking about. So if we want, we can just try to run through our class
No,
quickly.
I'm talking about the Carl Sagan Flatland. And then I also saw some...
So these are all explanations of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen this one. This one's only 4. I mean, do you guys want to watch it?
Yes.
You're all really interested now, so.
I just don't want to.
This is very...
You also don't want to learn about complex numbers?
Yeah, we want to watch the whole movie.
Yeah.
No, not right now. I do need to... So, for anyone who might be watching the video, we forgot to record most of the class. But if we put this into Desmos and make it squared, not 2, because it can't really copy very well, does this parabola have zeros?
No.
Yes.
According to what we see, no. Right? Write this quadratic out on your paper.
I can see the 7th dimension.
That would be really, really weird. And
Now, if we go to try to factor this, we need to make positive 5 and negative 4.
Wait, we've had graphs like this, but we just never realized. Well, you can make that perfect square and do it. You can make it.
can we graph
So
I?
like
Can you just
every
like put an
answer
I
we've
in
ever
that
had
thing?
is wrong.
Wait, can you put an
No.
I? Can you put an I in
He
Desmos?
said it equals 0.
Can I put an I in Desmos? I mean, I can, but why?
Triangle.
Oh yeah,
I
Mr.
mean,
Hudson.
I'm saying I don't know that it'll do anything. Of course, I can put it in.
Mr. Hudson. How do you do complete the square with
I mean,
a
if it's square root of -1, then no, it's trying to make I a variable.
How do you,
Yeah.
Mr. Hudson?
Negative variable of
Look, Decimal's just not
How
smart
do you do
enough.
completing the square with a negative b value?
What?
It's a good question. So Sati said, how could we do completing the
I
square?
feel like I just missed that lesson because like ever since we started doing it, because you can't get that.
half of b
Good morning, Joshua.
squared
Kemp.
Yeah, half
is
of
what
b
this
squared.
should be.
Joshua Kemp in the office, please.
You have that.
Thank you.
So it's just
So,
like, you have to
-2. What should my c be?
I guess
C-
it's half of that. That should be
It would
negative.
So
be-
this
it would
should
be
be
four.
4.
So you subtract one away.
So x. So you got x squared minus 4x minus 4. X minus
You can't do that because if you try completing the square,
Plus 4.
a 4 equals.
It would be negative.
Yeah,
X
that would
negative two.
x minus 2 squared would
X
make
negative
it.
2 squared. Dude, like
That'll work.
perfect square.
Wait,
It would
would that
add.
be?
No,
what
it
would
would
that be
add
the
up to
difference?
So x
x
minus 2.
No.
The difference of squares is when you have x minus 2, x plus 2.
So
You
x
do not
is-
square
wait,
a binomial.
wait.
Okay.
Therefore, x minus 2 is equal to I.
Oh.
Yeah, that's more confusing.
no.
Why would you do that?
Because
Oh.
Stop.
So 2
What's
plus
x?
I
2 plus or
I
minus
minus
I.
You
I plus 2.
I
a
plus 2.
plus
Oh, yeah.
2.
How did you fail in 8th grade on that?
So wait,
How do you plus or minus?
we know this. Not plus or minus because we have to add 2 to both sides. So, sorry, this, yes,
This is
sorry,
not
this is positive or negative, right? Because when we square root something, so the step we didn't show clearly here is we square root and we square root. We square root this, there's
Yeah.
supposedly,
Well, I mean, there is.
Wait, so what would positive I be? I mean, what would
Positive
negative I
I?
be?
the opposite of square root of -1. Whatever the square root of negative
So it'd be
1 is.
negative
is the
next-
opposite.
So do you 1?
Well, the square root of 1 is not a real number, right? So.
I mean, it is.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
Mr. Hudson.
It would be a negative number line.
Let's say the number is like a positive number that we usually see with regular numbers is one dimensional. It's the line, right?
Yeah.
So this with the complex numbers would be 2 dimensional.
Well, if you
If
only
you like, if you
look
were
at
adding another thing.
What about the adding the y?
we are already 2-dimensional because we have x and y already.
You can do this.
I mean, okay, just looking at the number line, right?
Yeah.
We just got the number line. There's that.
Yeah, but you couldn't do
And
a
that's got
quadratic
like the,
equation in
it's
that.
got like the square root of -1.
But the problem is we're already in 2 dimensions because we have inputs and outputs.
And then if
You
we add a third
can't
thing,
just
then
have
let's see.
inputs.
But what if we had
Yes,
fourth
see.
dimension?
Adding the fourth dimension.
Okay,
would make
so
Oh.
so
You have to figure out how you do that.
so our solutions here end up being 2. Sorry, not 1. 2 plus I
Our solution is that
and
we
2 minus
solve
I.
number equations.
What?
Those are our
Wait,
zeros.
so you could just write plus or minus I
Your
plus
fingers made of fire, Stephen.
2 plus or minus I would be cleaner.
Wait, so now can we solve that?
It's just a red light.
What do you mean?
Hold on.
I mean, we can, quote unquote, we did.
Then, wait.
Style.
Okay, never mind. Wait, what? Oh. So I feel like I've gotten questions like this before, and somehow I did find the variables. But to find that, I'd have to look inside, meaning that I have to find the square root of next.
So you just did it wrong.
So I just did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, the square.
Yeah, I've done it wrong.
So I feel as if we've probably absorbed enough into
I'll
our brains
finally
for
be able
today.
to get a 278 on my.
I know.
Bro, you think
Can't
it's
without
the
your
answer
can't
so
get covered.
far?
Thomas.
I have a question.
Yes.
How is the square root of regular one not a real number? If it could just
It is a real number. It's just So square root of 1 is totally a real number. It's 1. Square root of negative 1 is where we're getting the I. Square root of 2 is irrational. Not square root of 1, square root of 2.
What's the square root of negative 2? What's the
Square root of 2. If I misspoke. I meant negative 1.
What's the square root of negative?
Yeah. Square root of 1, we know is 1. Square root of negative 1, quote unquote, doesn't work. Hold on just a second. So, if we use the quadratic formula to solve this, think about
What? Oh yeah.
think about square root of b squared minus 4ac. You end up with a negative under the radical, right? So that's where imaginary numbers are going to come into play with this, because even if we use the quadratic formula, which is an easy way, like it'll always work, but then we end up with a negative radical, but now we can deal with negative radicals, right? We just take the square root of what it is and slap an I on there.
So is that what radians for? Or
Negative radical
Is what? I can't hear your question. You pointed at the ground.
Is that what radian is for?
No, radian is the amount of rotational distance traveled.
Okay.
Yes.
Why are we learning this?
Because it matters. If you're going into, well, one overarching general answer to any time you ask why are we learning this, to prove to some future employer that you can persevere and solve problems. That is the overarching why you're in school. The specific for why are we dealing with situations like this is it's deep math, first off, to like push your mathematical skills further, but taking situations that we said we can't do and deriving a way that we can is how we're going to make future breakthroughs. Now, this does matter in engineering and all kinds of different things like that, like being able to deal with I and work through the situations that can't be, because they can be solved. We just have to have another value of I or something, like other situations use other values. But really, if you want the like what will help you sleep at night, all of what you're doing right now is jumping through hoops for some future payoff. If I'm being straight up with you. Yeah. Some of you will never end up using this out in your jobs, but it will prove to somebody you can persevere and problem solve.
Oh, you know what happened to that?
Accidentally cleared everything off it.
You just need the cable.
So yeah, and it deleted all of the applications I
Yeah,
had.
that's
So
no good.
I